everyone, it's Tania Gabrielle here, Wealth Astro-Numerologist, and welcome to Star Codes. This is where we look at the forecast in the Astrology and Numerology, the codes in the stars to help us navigate these amazing changes that are encompassing so big a shift, sweeping in the new age, the age of taking responsibility for your freedom. And so first of all, happy New Year's Eve, happy New Year, whether you're watching this still in the final moments of 2020 or the first moments of 2021. You know, 2020 is a 4 universal year of responsibility and work and focusing on resources and the gifts that you have, bringing them, manifesting them, bringing them to light. So it is a year and was a year of finding new ways to live in the midst of limitation, which are represented, of course, by the lockdowns and so much more. So as we're bridging into the next year, 2021, which reduces to 5, will be a year of liberation, of truth. The 21st century is activated for the only year of this century. The number 21 for 2021 is the number of truth and joy. And the number 5 is the number of freedom, liberation, adventure, taking a risk, moving quickly, looking at all sides, facing left, facing right, having straight lines in the number and curves. It is a very powerful number of shifting energy. So in this episode, we are going to investigate deeply all of our soul's plan to experience growth, to experience change, and especially change that has arisen from a sense of limitation in 2020. What does that mean? What has it created? Because nothing is a mistake. And that's really the first important thing to understand. Nothing is a mistake. So please don't judge the universe. Please don't judge yourself. Don't judge others, because each one of us is having the right experience for our soul to grow. And challenges, as we've experienced in 2020, challenges in general in life are not punishment. They are not to keep us limited in our capacity to express our life purpose, but they are tools for growth. They are tools for teaching. So let's say you don't need a certain lesson about money, about relationships, about health, about poverty, about materialism, about career, about friendships. You won't have that lesson. So there's no need to judge yourself or to be jealous of others or pity others who are having that lesson or who have what you want to experience. All of that is meaningless. Any challenge is only an opportunity for you to discover what the gift behind the challenge is, what it feels like to be in that situation or predicament, so that you can discover your inner and outer resources that are available to you, that support you in this experience. That is growth. Discovering inner and outer resources is the definition of growing, of applying the amazing bounty that's within and without. Now, the discovery of these resources is really the key here. So any predicament that you may find yourself in, right, that anyone finds themselves in, can bring out the worst or the best, depending on whether they go in that journey of discovery or not. And 5, the universal year number for 2021, will define this journey of discovery. It is the number of discovery, the adventurer, right, inventing new ways. And of course, the age of Aquarius also covers the inventor, the person who is not afraid to be unique, to think outside the box, to be politically incorrect, to be basically your own person without going overboard too, right? I mean, there can be eccentricity for the sake of eccentricity. Now, that's not what we're talking about. That's a shadow side of Aquarius, right? So, but to go back to this idea of challenges and that they are not punishment is really the choice you make in terms of how you see the world. Because honestly, if you find yourself in any situation that is a challenge, it will bring out a part of you that you choose to bring out. It is a choice. And so the Aquarian age and the number 5 for 2021 epitomize that freedom to choose and make it very, very clear. So this way, once you just attune to the fact that everybody has this choice, any judgment of your own choices or any other choices that people make will not be an issue, because you can see that the journey is basically attuning to love or attuning to fear. And you'll see that everybody's choices as individual decisions that further their growth, whether it seems like they're abdicating responsibility or leaving their purpose behind, whatever the case may be, we live in a free will planet, right? So as with any challenge, if you find yourself lacking something or you find yourself being restricted in some way, it's an opportunity to make a high vibrational change, a choice that uses your internal and external resources. And your choice is always this. It is love over fear. It is trust over despair. It is optimism over despondency. It is courage over bitterness. And the challenges are just tests to teach you something, to offer you the opportunity to make that high vibrational choice, the choice of love and trust and optimism and courage. One that will help you face whatever difficulty it is and lead then to acceptance, which leads to inner peace, which leads to love. So rather than finding blame or feeling bitter or feeling victimized, everyone has lessons that are very similar, and we're learning these together. And the people who end up becoming our teachers are the ones that are making choices that inspire us, the very high vibrational choices that we know are best for us in terms of the ease of life, the acceptance of life, the lack of resistance and pushing back, right? Those are the people that we look up to because they model something that we ourselves also want to practice in our own life. So in the end, life is about making choices about love. And every experience, every relationship is designed to bring you closer to love. So if you, on the other hand, choose to get closer to the negative expression of life, you have the freedom to do that. And no one should judge you for it. But you won't be happy with the results, which is good news. Whether it takes moments, days, a lifetime, or many lifetimes, life is a lot more rewarding when you make high vibrational choices. And peace and joy are so much more rewarding than unhappiness and feeling like a victim and living in fear and basing all your decisions on fear. How come we don't naturally choose the way of awareness and peace? It's because the way we're raised, and this is the whole point of the shift that we're undergoing now, the major look in the mirror shift that we're experiencing between all the stelliums we had in Capricorn, right? The sign of structure. And there's nothing wrong with structure, but we're dealing with the egoic structures, right? Me first, everyone for themselves. Everything is based on competition, on being better than the next person, whatever it is, more this, more that, right? So we're raised to live in a world where the ego is valued over the soul. And the ego is designed to choose fear over love. That is literally the point of competition. I'm afraid I won't win. I'm afraid I won't be better than. I'm afraid I won't, get the gold medal or be seen as the best in something. And the fear of not winning, not succeeding, not being better than others, not having more, not measuring up to expectations that are put on us is all egoic, right? These fears, we just accept them because we were raised in this world, right? We were encouraged to partake in this world. Now, to experience a heart-centered, joyful outcome, we first need to be invested in mastering our ego, our desires that were programmed from day one. And if the Aquarian age of breakthroughs brings any major shift, it is our dedication to mastering the ego. And it is a huge step because, like I said, it's our programming, and not just in this lifetime. And it must be taken at this time because we're giving birth to this new state of consciousness. And that consciousness is non-egoic. It is soulful. Now, it's not easy to give birth, all of you moms out there who know what it means. So what happens is we'd rather things stay as they are than make the changes, keep things as they always were. The old ways of thinking, the old ways of explaining, the old ways of justifying, the old misunderstandings, the old suppositions. We would rather choose those than choose love over fear because it's easier, right? Giving birth is not easy. So what would be a way to allow us to move into this beautiful new year where the age of Aquarius is really starting to take off and our sense of freedom is accepted and explored? So the first question we need to ask is, what is the best way to confront fear? And if you really look at that question, the only first step to take is to release the fear by trusting, through trust. Trust is the opposite of fear. It is the antidote. It is the cure. So, and we're talking about the fear of loss, the fear of poverty, the fear of anything, the fear of lack of this, lack of that. So how do we do that? How do we trust? How do we move into that place of trusting that everything will be okay? There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, that leads us to the constructs that keep our egoic way of living going, and those are our belief systems. So what is your belief about life? Do you believe that life is good? That there's a goodness in everything naturally flowing through life as expressed through nature? Do you believe that life provides what you need? And not just you, everyone, and nature, the universe, that life naturally provides what you need. Do you believe that there is a higher force out there that is supporting you and guiding you? Spiritual forces. Do you believe that your spiritual guides are always there, supporting you, guiding you along the way to help you in your soul's evolution, helping you learn and grow, supporting you? Do you believe in the divine force behind all life, the cosmic, universal, divine force? Or do you believe that there is no benevolence? What do you believe? Have you considered asking yourself these questions about where you are placing your trust? What are you trusting? These are very important questions, because if you're trusting man-made constructs as opposed to the divine, spiritual, natural way of life, the benevolent, loving source, Godhead, whatever you want to call it, If you prefer man-made to that, then you will live in the egoic mind, because the human mind is only designed to take you through the practicalities of living on earth. But it is the heart, the divine mind, that gives you access to love and peace and joy and all those things that you wish were present in your life. So the first thing to look at is to trust and to look at your beliefs. And in 2021, which is a 5 universal year of discoveries and asking questions, right? The Aquarian age too. 5 explores. 5 is the adventurer. Take risks. And in order to take risks, you want to inquire. You want to question. You want to be open to change, and being open is key here. And the Aquarian age has the same pulse, urge behind it. And so your beliefs about life in general, your life, are key to revealing the state of your well-being. You are a microcosm of the world, and you have, just like the world has weather patterns, right? You have an inner climate within you that governs how you weather each experience. And that inner climate is the lens through which you see your life and see the world. So are you seeing with the eyes of trust and love and joy? Or are you seeing with fear and pessimism and despair, worried about what might come next, right? Constantly living in that place of separation and duality where there is no trust. So if you believe there is no benevolent force that is behind life, that life has no purpose except to grab as you can, right? That you have no divine plan, which is expressed in your astrology, numerology, your birth code, then of course it's easy to live on default, because you don't trust anything except you put all your eggs in that ego basket. So you'll trust what the voice in your head tells you, the voice based on memory, on the past, on external doctrines that were imposed on you, on programming, and you'll ignore your intuition. And that voice will tell you that life is not trustworthy. And you'll believe in those fears, and those fears will shape, they will create the building blocks of your life. And so imagine this life that is based on choices that are only based on fear. So imagine a life where all your choices are based on fear. It's not a life, I'm sure, that you want to partake in. So just know that this doesn't have to be the case. You have a choice whether to let your fears shape your life. And at some point you will discover this choice does not create happiness. This choice to focus on moving forward based on what you don't want. Moving forward based on what you're afraid might happen, and you're making all your decisions out of this, oh no, what if this happens? I better do this. I mean, this is not a life you want to live. Fears are a lie. They let lies, you're basically allowing lies to rule your life. And it's not going to result in happy outcomes, because fears are not real. Fears are created in that limited egoic mind. They are not real, because life is naturally loving. It is naturally supportive. There's a natural spiritual guidance system that is there at all times, from which you come and where you reside. So when you allow this truth to inform your choices, when you immerse yourself in the truth of love, then your life will blossom naturally. You will thrive. You will be happy, no matter what situation you find yourself in. And this will create the seeds that will allow you to make the choices that are high vibrational. And you'll be thrilled to discover in the goodness, the benevolence of life, the energies behind all of life are benevolent. And this is really the biggest discovery of this new age we're moving into, that life is good, that life is to be explored, that there is nothing to fear, that you are here to enjoy life to the fullest and to accept all that is. And even holding on to that belief that life is good, that creates a possibility that will help you to discover that that is indeed the case. Just holding on to that belief that life is good will help you. And you may have to first just trust that life is good before you discover that it is actually true. Be the very thing that it is you crave within you. Be it, trust it. The trust itself will allow you to experience the bounty and benevolence of life. The alternative you have, of course, is to believe that life is meaningless, life is random, life is dangerous. And of course, if you believe that instead, it will be much more difficult to discover the goodness, that life is actually the opposite of that. So as we move into 2021 and feel the impact of the number 5 and the age of Aquarius, hold this truth in your mind, that fear is the opposite of love. To trust in love, to practice love. You'll trust life as you practice love. Practicing love is to understand that fear is your programming default. Practicing love will begin to weaken your attention on that default programming. It will weaken it by default by you practicing love. And the choice you have is to delete, to press the delete button on fear. Choose trust over suspicion. Be open instead of closed. Like the number 5, the number that is open to the left and open to the right, the 5 universal year of 2021, so eager to explore, so open to discovery. Like the Aquarian age, being open helps you discover that life is good. And that is, once you just discover life is good, you see goodness everywhere. And you'll see abundance, and you'll see the support, and you'll see divinity. When you're closed, you will miss seeing these things. You literally you'll have blinders over your eyes, so you won't have the vision, the perspective, and you'll feel lost, you'll feel empty, like something's lacking, like something's incomplete. And that is the state of being egoic. And in the 2000s, by the way, this incredible millennium that we're in now, that we've experienced for 21 years, the 2 represents freeing ourselves from the duality. The 2 is about light and dark, but not to partake in the separation. It is to literally go beyond what seems to be a separation, the paradox, light and dark, and understand that it is the acceptance of all within you that uncovers the truth. The acceptance that there is light and dark. There is programming and there is love. And so the number 2 is the key to the liberation here. The default of programming is felt when you sense you are separate. You feel alone, like something's missing. And that is not the truth. Because when you see that we have the expression of God, of Source, in everything so that we grow and learn, you will see it as a learning tool. You won't see it as a separation. So choosing love over fear brings it all within you. And you'll be driven by your heart to fulfill your soul's goal instead of being caught in the separation duality, in that web, in that programming matrix, right? So That matrix is where the ego just wants the external trappings of accomplishment, wants to climb the ladder. The ego never seeks inner fulfillment. The ego seeks external validation. That is the matrix we're freeing ourselves from, right? The good and bad. I'm better than. That's the duality. So your heart is not driven by being successful. That's not heart-centered. The heart is driven by a deep passion to fulfill what you came here to do, your spiritual purpose, to follow the subtle urgings in your heart, those mysterious things that move you to accomplish what your soul set out to do in this lifetime. And one of the ways to key in to that purpose, the expression of the purpose, the meaning, is your birth promise. Your birth promise, which is revealed in your star code, your numerology and astrology chart, literally reveals in beautiful language what it is you're here to do. And this is why I created the free masterclass at starcodeclass.com, so that you can see the prominent numbers in your life. We all have 3 important birth numbers. You can see the prominent signs in your astrology. And those signs signify strengths and drives and needs and tendencies, as do your important numbers. And your soul chose those codes. Your soul chose them to be born at a particular time, a particular place, on a certain date, to be imprinted within you those unique strengths and drives and needs and gifts that you have, those tendencies. Your soul chose those as a way of knowing what energies you wanted to have to accomplish what it is you're here to do. And Astro-Numerology allows you to interpret that code. It's one of the great mysteries that we are a part of, that there's a greater design that is expressed in sacred geometry, a greater plan that operates behind and beyond our universe. So go and discover your own soul code. Go out and see who you are at soul level at starcodeclass.com and enjoy that. And meanwhile, overcome your fear, overcome the sense of lack, and develop that sense of trust in your life. Remember, your definition of success really matters. How you define success determines how your life will look like based on the choices you make. Those successes that you achieved are based on your definition of success. So defining success through the ego will generate egoic success, and your choices will support those goals. And that's totally fine from the soul's perspective. If that's where you're at, that's where you're at, right? Nobody is to judge you for that. But underlying everything is your deepest desire to be happy. And to love and to be loved is to be happy. So if that's your underlying desire, your underlying goal, then egoic definitions of success will not serve you ultimately. You may receive the beautiful yay moments, and I got this, and I won this, and I reached this, but it won't last. It's not lasting because it's not based on your internal and external resources that are high vibrational, that are constant. So to have the courage to move forward in 2021 by trusting and really looking at those beliefs, that programming that came from humans' definition of what it is you should believe, and looking at that closely, seeing it in every experience you're having. Is this actually my soul, or is this my programming? And stripping those beliefs. This is the freedom. This is the adventure. This is the inquiry message of the new year of 2021. And look at the numbers 20 and 21. In my ultimate yearly forecast for 2021, I covered the bridging of the 20th century and the 21st century. This is the key. We are literally being shown the differences of what it was we followed in the 1900s, the 20th century, and where it is we are heading in the 21st century, the 2000s. So keep all of that in mind. Remember that to love and be loved is to be happy. Have a gorgeous, gorgeous New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, a beautiful beginning of 2021, and may your soul speak to you from a place of joy and love. That is your true nature. Trust in that. I'll see you next week for our next Star Codes podcast. Lots of love.